Hi there guys, it's Carlos here at the Carlos de Azevedo Coaching Corner once again. Thanks for watching us. We're here today to share with you guys a great topic, and I'm sure you guys will be able to help us further. Okay, the topic today is, guys, is overseas players better than our English youth players that are coming through the ranks. And basically we're going to be basically debating whether that's the truth or not. I'm sure you guys out there that have got great ability and great coaching ability, and obviously know the game very well, will be able to obviously help us further on this one. Okay, we're not obviously on this video, we don't want to say what's right or what's wrong, we just want to debate. Okay, cool. So over to Scotty.
Okay, it seems like the number of British players on average per Premiership football team at the moment are starting to fall down. That number's decreasing. Some teams won't even field a single English player. Do you think that's causing a problem?
I would say this is something that's happening in England, but it's also happening all over the world really. I'm sure you guys will see like the other leagues in the world. Obviously the top leagues are the German league, the Spanish league, the Italian league, Portuguese league, and obviously Premiership being the best league in the world. I think all leagues are getting affected. I can tell you, for instance, Portugal, for instance, has been affected massively. There's a lot of overseas players that obviously to a degree are damaging obviously the youth academies that are coming through and bringing in some great footballers that want to play for their loved clubs and academies. And once they come through the academy, there's the only way to basically then play for the first team is to go either overseas, if they like, or they play for the lower leagues, which could be potential Championship and League Twos, which, to be honest with you, sometimes doesn't really agree with what they've been learning. So there is certainly, I agree with what Scotty just said. It does damage the ranks a little bit, but it's happening in England very much so, and I agree with that.
It seems like there's a lot of young foreign players who come to England looking to start off their career. Why do you think there aren't so many English players playing in the foreign leagues?
Yeah, the reason for that is obviously this is something that you guys will probably know already. The guys that are more into the coaching and do a lot of research with academies overseas. I mean, that's my passion, developing young footballers and seeing them flourishing throughout the ranks. That's something that I've always been passionate about, and I do a lot of research with other academies and see how they're developing. For some reason, I mean, Spain, Portugal, Italy, South American countries, including Brazil, they've produced some amazing players. I mean, I'm sure you guys know all the names, you know, like Cristiano Ronaldo's, Ronaldinho's. I mean, talking about great players out there, you know, Pirlo's and Xavi, Iniesta's and Messi's and all those sort of players. They've got something very much in common, which is I've actually put together a video for you guys about this. I mean, not going too much into detail and deviating from the subject itself, but one thing those guys do, in these academies do, they develop these players to such a high degree, and what they get those players very much used to is one thing: the football. Okay, they don't care how big or how small those guys are. It's about the player, and it's about developing the player with that football, and they do that from such a young age, where the player, when he gets to 13, 14 years of age, it's almost like a complete technical player, okay, not physical player, technical player. And I think once you get that onto the development of the kid in this case, I think you have a complete player. So that's why the players then become so used to the ball, and when they get into obviously the tactical side, it's just easy because just they adapt the system into the technical side. So if you look all the players around the world that come here, I mean, you give you example, like you look at, to give you a good example, Scotty, you've got Fabregas when he came here so young, and he became one of probably the best players in the Premiership so young. And he just came he couldn't fit in Barcelona's squad. He's a great example of that. I mean, you've got so many examples out there that Cristiano, he came here and absolutely took over the world in a sense. You've got so many players that have done that, and the reason to answer that really is those players a lot of the times play a type of football before they actually get into the 11th side, which is football salon and football sal, and that gives them. That's another part of the subject that I have done a video for, and that to answer that is obviously those players technically do give or do have what it takes at the right age at the right time, believe it or not, because some players reach the right thing but at the wrong time, so it's maybe too late, they miss the boat.
Okay, so would you agree that British youth academies and such like are basically focusing too much on the physical side of football rather than on the technical and the intricate ball mastery skills.
Yeah, I would say that very much so. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't like to criticize any coaches out there or any academies that are doing that, because I think some academies are brilliant. You know, I mean, I don't want to give you any examples because I don't want to publicize, give publicity to certain clubs and academies. But I have seen some private and amazing private and obviously club driven academies out there that are doing an amazing job with kids. And I've got to say, I mean, I've seen some amazing players. I mean, I arrived here in 1997, and I can tell you that the difference between the technical side of the players then to now, I know football evolved anyway all over the world, but I can tell you I have seen some amazing players coming through. And even watching kids playing nowadays, you can see that they really, the overseas players and also the English players have had a massive influence in them. And I can remember Pires, someone that played with Pires at Aston Villa, saying to me that once Pires came to Aston Villa, I mean, the level of training levels in terms of technique just went through the roof within a month. And that wasn't because of the manager or the coach trying to change anything. It was just because Pires was there. He was doing things and people were just copying it. And then that's one player. And I imagine, like, if you look at Arsenal when they were champions, he was like France United, you know. So it's obviously you can think to yourself, players like Tony Adams, for instance, seeing that every single day. I'm not saying Tony Adams would be going to do step overs and going through megging people and scoring top bins, but he has a knock-on effect on the players, and I think that's a great thing, you know. But I also say, you know, I'm very protective over English players because I've been here so long and I love the country and I love people here. So I would say, I can't say to you guys that English players are not skillful. I think that's a wrong thing to say. I just think a lot of the times players don't get exposed to the right skills at the right times, and that's the answer for it. So if you want to become good at something, you've got to do it every day, like a language. So that's the answer.
Of course, repetition obviously does help a lot. There's a tendency at the moment for the top English teams to snap up all the youth talent. It seems like if they see somebody who potentially could be a superstar, they'll buy him while he's still young and still cheap. Obviously that has a detrimental effect on their development if they're not getting enough games. What do you think we can do to combat that situation?
I think that is a hard one, really, because obviously sometimes you get and this is obviously all to do with player development. Sometimes you get players that develop so quick when they say 17, 18 years of age, and all of a sudden, for some apparent reason, they just stop developing. And then on the other side, you've got other players where they basically don't develop at all, and they get to 2022, and all of a sudden they've got basically almost like a spurt growth, if you like. And they become really, really good. And there's several examples of that all over the world, really. There's some players that came in all of a sudden they're going to be the next big thing, and all of a sudden they become nothing. And it's hard to say. I think that's going to be a great video that we're going to do next week about why players make it and players don't. I think a lot of the times it only depends the club you're playing for. Two, it depends the manager you've got in front of you. How does he want to play? Three, does your skills and your understanding of that particular fundamental ethos or methodology match the club or the manager you've got in front of you? Does the squad that you've got in front of you, are you comfortable with them? Are your colleagues comfortable with you? And then ultimately, do you want to play for that particular team? You know, there's so many elements. I give you an example, for instance. I mean, I remember and I admire the guy, and I remember being in Portugal and watching when Ginola came to England. I mean, he was absolutely unbelievable, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, he played for Newcastle. And I really remember that. I mean, just for your club, he was absolutely fantastic, phenomenal player. And he went to Tottenham. He absolutely, honestly, I used to love watching him coming from the left and right and just literally whipping the ball in top corner. And he was unbelievable. But all of a sudden, he went to Villa. He was like playing a different sport. He was on skates, you know. It's sorry, pal. But I've got to be honest with you, he got to a level where he lost it. I don't think, for instance, someone like John Gregory, I don't think he probably knew how to manage a player like that, or maybe he did know, but that was his way of managing someone. Sorry, John. It probably was his way, and maybe at that time, Ginola probably wasn't the right player for Villa. Maybe the player wasn't right for Villa, and Villa wasn't right for the player, and that's again. Sometimes it's very hard to answer those questions because certain players flourish in different teams, and some teams flourish with certain players. It depends.
Well, that does lead me to another question. Sometimes British teams will import somebody who's basically a superstar in a different league, they'll come over to England and all of a sudden they don't produce it. A good example of that would be Juan Sebastian Veron, when he went to, he spent some time at both Man United and Chelsea, and it would be argued that he didn't quite reach the level that he did in Serie A. What do you think the reasons for that could have been?
I mean, I remember Veron very well, and to be honest, he probably was one of the best midfielders ever to play in England. Maybe he didn't get the credit that he should have got. Veron was a very skillful and also a very good anticipator of the ball. I mean, probably one of the best Argentinian midfielders ever to play. I mean, I'm sure Simeone is watching this. He'll be thinking, if he does watch this, I'm only playing. Probably won't never watch this. But you know, I mean, if he does ever watch this, he'll probably agree with me. Sebastian Veron probably was one of the best Argentinian midfielders, skillful and aggressive midfielders, because Argentina's got a very much of, I don't know if you guys know this, but Argentina's got very much these sort of ferocious sort of midfielders that can only tackle, and they've got the other side, which is very sort of skillful players. That's why you never see Messi's tackling, and you never see Maradona tackling, because they didn't know how to. And you almost had the players either a very hard player that only passed the ball, or only one pass people, or players that was just tackled. Argentina was and they still produce very much players like that. And Veron kind of came out of the box a little bit, because he was the player where, one, he could tackle, he could anticipate it, he could edit the ball, he could pass the ball, he could read well, he could dribble, he could score. He's almost like a complete player, and I'm sure actually Simeone said he was actually rating Veron one of the best ever Argentinian players, playing for obviously Argentina and great clubs in Europe.
Yes, I'd agree he's a fantastic player, but he didn't quite seem to meet his full potential over in England. Do you think the different pace of the game perhaps didn't suit his style, or do you think you've got some unfair criticism?
I think obviously two answers there. I mean, one, he played for Man United, and at that time I really remember Man United. Man United played very fast into the final third, obviously bypassing a lot of the times the midfield, which to a degree, if you were a skillful player and you like to play through the thirds, a lot of the time they miss out the centre mids. And Veron was very much that kind of player that transported the ball, read well, connective passes, and linked up with the counter-attacking very well. I found, maybe to answer that question really well, is a lot of the play was played directly into Van Nistelrooy and Andy Coles and Dwight Yorks of those days, and they were gigs at that time as well. They were missing out a lot of times, but believe it or not, I still thought, I agree with what you just said. I mean, he probably didn't get the right sort of treatment here, bearing in mind he was such a great player, but I still think he done great. I mean, at Chelsea he was a bit quiet, I'd say that, but I think maybe I got from him, and I might be very wrong saying this, and I'm sure Veron probably would say I got him, he probably didn't really get on with the whole culture and the weather. Maybe that was one of the reasons.
Yeah, that is often a criticism levelled at certain players. Kind of do it in a cold night against Stoke, for example.
Absolutely, I love that one.
Anyway, we could talk all night about this one, so we're going to split this into 3 parts.
Okay.
This will be the end of our first part, but
fantastic.
Keep on watching and you'll see our second episode.
Okay then guys, so until the next time guys, keep up the good work. Take care, bye bye.
Thank you, goodbye.